Lewis Hamilton has just been hit with a revelation, one that didn't come from a rival roaring past him on the track or from some sensational media headline. No, this one came from within his own camp, Ferrari. And what they've unearthed may be the most intimate, unsettling truth of his entire Formula One career. After weeks spent poring over mountains of telemetry, scrutinizing driving patterns, throttle traces, and micro-level performance data, Ferrari's top engineers stumbled upon something unexpected. Something profound. Something that could rewrite the entire narrative of Hamilton's troubled start in scarlet red. It's not about power units. It's not about pit stop timing, aero updates, or setup compromises. This goes deeper, into the very core of how Hamilton drives a race car. What Ferrari discovered is not a flaw in machinery, but a deeply embedded behavioral signature, an instinctive trait in Lewis's driving DNA that might be fundamentally misaligned with the SF25's architecture. A habit so baked into his muscle memory, so closely tied to the way he's won 7 world championships, that it could now be the Achilles heel unraveling Ferrari's ambitious project. This isn't just about brake balance or tire degradation. This is about identity, a battle between man and machine. A world-class driver clashing at a subconscious level with a car that refuses to speak his language. Where Hamilton leans on feel, the SF25 demands data-driven precision. Where he improvises, the car punishes deviation. The rhythm that once made him unstoppable is now being silenced by a machine that seems allergic to intuition. And here's the twist: the data doesn't lie. Every lift off the throttle, every steering correction, every braking point tells a story. A story of conflict. A story of mismatch. Ferrari's analytics revealed an undeniable truth. Hamilton is struggling not because he's lost his edge, but because the very instincts that once made him a legend are being rejected by the engineering philosophy of his new car. This is no longer about sector times or tire wear. This could be the moment that determines whether Hamilton's legacy ends with a glorious final chapter, or a slow, painful unraveling. So before we dive deeper into exactly what Ferrari found, what it means for Lewis's immediate future, and whether even someone like him can adapt in time, do us a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay locked in until the end. Because what's coming next might be the most defining moment of one of F1's greatest careers. Let's rewind. When Lewis Hamilton made the stunning leap from Mercedes to Ferrari, the entire racing world gasped. It was the stuff of dreams, legendary champion in the iconic red suit, chasing a record-breaking 8th world title under the mystique of Maranello. The anticipation was electric. The headlines wrote themselves. But 5 races into the 2025 season, that dream has twisted into something far more complex. Far darker. Not once has Hamilton managed to outqualify or outrun Charles Leclerc in a main Grand Prix weekend. The timing sheets paint a brutal picture, particularly in qualifying, where Hamilton has been consistently losing time, not randomly, but in the same corners over and over again. Naturally, the Ferrari technical team launched an investigation. Not a surface-level review, but a deep forensic autopsy of every lap, every system. They expected maybe a mechanical discrepancy, or a minor aerodynamic inefficiency. What they found was something else entirely. Not broken parts. Not an unstable chassis. But a fundamental dissonance between Hamilton's driving style and the behavioral demands of the SF25. The very foundation of his muscle memory. His braking rhythm, throttle modulation, corner entry technique seems to be out of sync with how this Ferrari wants to be driven. Every time Hamilton trusts his instincts, the car responds with resistance. He feels his way through a corner. The Ferrari punishes him for not being robotic. The feedback loop is broken. It's a brutal irony. The same instinctive genius that once allowed him to outdance rain-soaked circuits, make improbable overtakes, and win titles under pressure, is now working against him. And in the cold, unforgiving realm of elite motorsport, instinct is not easily retrained. The question now isn't just whether Hamilton can claw back lap time. It's whether he can rewire himself, at 40 years old, after more than a decade at the peak of the sport, to meet the precision demands of a machine that rejects flair in favor of surgical execution. This might not just be a career crossroads. It could be a personal reckoning. Because if Lewis Hamilton can't mold himself to this new challenge, then this chapter at Ferrari could end not in glory, but in heartbreak. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this story unfolds. He didn't blame the car. He didn't throw the team under the bus. Instead, Lewis Hamilton stood in front of the cameras and took it on the chin. He owned the situation. Spoke of adaptation. Of needing to push himself harder. Of unlocking the performance he knows is somewhere inside. But behind closed doors, the tension is quietly building. Ferrari didn't bring in a 7-time world champion for top 10 finishes. They didn't offer him a seat for polite excuses or gradual improvements. They hired him to win. To bring titles back to Maranello. To end the drought and awaken the legacy. But right now, neither side is delivering. And across the paddock, the rest of the Formula One world is watching. Closely. Not just to see if Hamilton can shave off a couple tenths in qualifying, or finally outpace his teammate when it counts on a Sunday. They're watching to witness something far more intriguing, whether one of the sport's most iconic figures can truly reshape his competitive identity in real time. Because this is no longer just about getting used to a new chassis or learning a new steering wheel layout. This is something deeper, more personal. It's about confronting a fundamental truth, that the same instinct which once made him unstoppable, the gut feeling that defined his brilliance, is now becoming his biggest limitation. And in modern F1, there is zero room for error. In the background, the challenge is beginning to reshape the very core of Ferrari's internal structure. Engineers in Maranello now find themselves staring down a growing philosophical conflict. Do they alter a car concept that clearly suits Leclerc's smooth and measured approach, risking balance and development consistency across the season? Or do they take on the massive task of recalibrating part of the car's DNA to meet the visceral, reactive style of Hamilton? This isn't just a technical dilemma. It's a conceptual one. Ferrari isn't just building a race car. They're managing 2 careers, 2 legacies, 2 diverging visions of how to go fast. For Hamilton, the mental burden may be just as heavy, if not heavier, than the physical one. Every lap is now a test. Every sector, a trial. Each practice session is no longer just a chance to fine-tune a setup. It's a battle against his own habits. A war against the reflexes honed over a lifetime of dominance. And while his face in interviews remains composed, while his statements remain diplomatic, the pressure continues to rise with every race that passes without progress. And that weight doesn't just live in the garages or the debrief rooms. It lives inside him. Because at some point, every champion is forced to confront the question: how long can you stay patient when the machine beneath you speaks a language you no longer understand? Meanwhile, time moves on. Not just the stopwatch during race weekends, but the clock on the 2025 season. On Hamilton's career. This move to Ferrari was meant to be a triumphant epilogue. The grand finale of a historic journey. A hero's last charge in the scarlet red. Instead, it's teetering on the edge of becoming something very different, an uncomfortable cautionary tale about timing, transition, and how even the greatest talents can be undone by the smallest points of friction. And yet, there's still a pulse. A lingering sense that things could shift. That the same iron-willed determination that brought Hamilton title after title could ignite again. That the team, galvanized by his relentless pursuit of improvement, could find something. A tweak, a breakthrough, a flash of clarity. Because in Formula One, the line between catastrophe and comeback is razor thin. Sometimes it's one setup change, one update, one corner taken with absolute precision. So, let us know what you think. Are we witnessing the beginning of a redemption arc, the quiet build-up to one of the greatest comebacks in F1 history? Or is this truly the first chapter in a bittersweet end to one of the sport's most anticipated partnerships? Be sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this battle between Hamilton and the SF25 isn't just about lap times anymore. It's about identity, legacy, and one final shot at proving that true greatness can evolve. And whatever happens next may very well define not just the fate of Ferrari, but the enduring legend of Lewis Hamilton himself. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari was supposed to be the stuff of legends, an iconic champion in the most historic team, chasing an 8th world title in red. But 5 races into the season, the dream is beginning to crack. Ferrari's engineers have uncovered a shocking truth buried in Hamilton's driving style, an instinctive pattern that once won him championships, but now clashes with the SF25's core design philosophy. As Leclerc continues to outperform him, session after session, the pressure on Hamilton is mounting. Is he fighting the car, or himself? In this video, we break down the real reason behind Hamilton's struggles, what Ferrari has found in the data, and whether one of the greatest drivers in F1 history can reinvent his instincts before it's too late. This is more than just a performance issue. It's a battle between legacy and adaptation, instinct and engineering. Subscribe now and stay with us to find out if this is the beginning of a redemption story or the end of an era.